First contact and ridicule. The Galactic Confederation's Grand Chamber fell silent as Earth's diplomatic fleet emerged from the quantum gate. Through the chamber's crystalline viewport, the assembled representatives of over 300 spacefaring civilizations watched with barely concealed disdain. Their massive ships, each the size of a small moon, dwarfed the approaching human vessels. High Chancellor Vexthor, their tentacled leader, leaned forward on his ceremonial perch. "These are Earth's finest vessels," he asked, multiple speech organs vibrating in harmony. "They appear to be lacking." The human ships were indeed unusual by Confederation standards, where their vessels were imposing geometric structures of gleaming metal and energy fields. Earth's ships resembled organic forms, sleek, almost fluid in appearance, with surfaces that seemed to ripple and shift in the starlight. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood at attention on the bridge of the EFS Curiosity, Earth's flagship. At barely 300 meters in length, it was considered microscopic by Confederation standards. She watched the massive alien ships through the viewport, their crystalline structures catching and refracting light like artificial constellations. "They're scanning us again," Lieutenant Rodriguez reported from his station, dark eyes fixed on his holographic displays. "Seventh detailed scan in the past hour." Chen nodded, her expression neutral. "Let them look. They'll see exactly what they expect to see." The crew exchanged knowing glances. They had prepared for this moment for years. In the Confederation chamber, the chief technology assessor, a crystalline being named Zixera, projected her findings for all to see. Their ships employ basic metal alloys, minimal shielding, and what appears to be primitive propulsion technology. They haven't even mastered basic gravitational manipulation. Laughter rippled through the chamber. Some representatives didn't bother hiding their amusement, others their contempt. High Chancellor Vexthor raised several appendages for silence. "Ambassador Chen," he addressed the human's holographic projection, "while we appreciate Earth's enthusiasm, the Confederation maintains certain standards. Your technology is simply too primitive. Perhaps in a few centuries, when you've properly developed." "With respect, Chancellor," Chen interrupted, causing several representatives to bristle at the breach of protocol, "we request the opportunity to demonstrate our capabilities." "Demonstrate?" Vexthor's speech organs vibrated with amusement. "Your vessels are transparent to our scanners. We see nothing worth." A new voice cut through the chamber. "Then perhaps you need to learn to look harder." All eyes turned to the speaker, a tall, dark-skinned human male who had suddenly appeared in the center of the chamber. Not as a hologram, but in physical form. Captain Marcus Hayes of Earth's Special Sciences Division stood calmly, hands clasped behind his back, as security drones swarmed around him. "Impossible." Zixera's crystalline form pulsed with agitation. "Our shields, the distance, you can't." Hayes smiled. "Humanity has learned that the best way to survive in a hostile universe is to be underestimated. Your scans showed you exactly what we wanted them to show you. Would you like to see what you missed?" Outside, Earth's primitive fleet began to change. The rippling surfaces of their ships weren't decoration. They were billions of quantum-linked nanomachines, capable of restructuring matter at the subatomic level. As the assembled representatives watched in stunned silence, the small human vessels seemed to fold in on themselves, twisting through dimensions that shouldn't exist, recombining into configurations that defied conventional physics. Where moments ago there had been a scattered handful of tiny ships, now there floated a single massive vessel, but one unlike anything the Confederation had ever seen. It was organic and geometric at once, its surface constantly shifting, adapting, evolving. Energy readings that had been negligible now spiked off the scales. "We call it the quantum mesh," Hayes explained to the silent chamber. "Every ship in our fleet is composed of programmable matter that can reconfigure itself at will. What you saw as primitive metal alloys are actually complex molecular computers. Those minimal shields, quantum field generators capable of bending spacetime itself." High Chancellor Vexthor's tentacles had gone pale. Why? He managed to ask. Why this deception? Chen's hologram smiled sadly. Because humanity learned long ago that the greatest advantage isn't size or strength. It's being underestimated. We came here hoping to find partners, equals. Instead, we found an organization so convinced of its own superiority that it couldn't see past its prejudices. Consider this a lesson, Hayes added. One we hope won't need to be repeated. Humanity is ready to join the Confederation, not as supplicants, but as equals. The question is, are you ready to join us? The chamber erupted in chaos as representatives argued, threatened, and demanded explanations. But through it all, the human ships, now a single reality-defying construct, floated serenely in space, a testament to the danger of judging by appearances and the folly of underestimating humanity's potential. The Swarm Protocol. In the days following humanity's dramatic revelation, the Galactic Confederation's political structure descended into chaos. Centuries of assumed technological superiority crumbled in the face of quantum mesh technology. Emergency sessions were called. Alliances shifted. And in the shadows, ancient powers began to move. Aboard the ESS Curiosity, now integrated into the massive quantum mesh construct designated Harmony, Ambassador Chen watched the diplomatic fallout with growing concern. The ship's command center had transformed along with its exterior, expanding into a vast neural interface chamber where crew members floated in quantum-linked meditation pods. They're mobilizing their fleets, Captain Hayes reported, his consciousness partially merged with Harmony systems. Through their shared neural link, Chen could feel the movement of thousands of Confederation vessels across multiple sectors. The crystalline collective is particularly agitated. Wouldn't you be? Chen's avatar flickered through the ship's quantum substrate. We just proved their entire technological foundation was built on sand. Their crystal-based computing seemed impressive until they saw our quantum mesh in action. Lieutenant Rodriguez's consciousness rippled through the ship's network. Multiple long-range scans detected. They're trying to penetrate our quantum field. A pause. They're failing. Hayes allowed himself a small smile. Of course they are. They're still thinking in traditional dimensions. They don't understand that the quantum mesh doesn't just transform matter. It transforms space itself. Chen nodded, but her concern remained evident in the fluctuating patterns of her neural signature. The question is, will they accept their new reality, or try to maintain their dominance through force? The answer came sooner than expected. Through Harmony's quantum sensors, they detected a massive power surge from the Confederation's central hub. Emergency broadcasts flooded the quantum networks. Earth's technology was declared a threat to galactic stability. All member species were ordered to cease communication with human vessels. They're afraid, Hayes observed, his consciousness expanding to encompass more of Harmony's systems. Fear makes empires do stupid things. Chen watched as the Confederation's massive fleet began to move into attack formations. Their ships were impressive by conventional standards, mountains of crystalline metal powered by antimatter cores. But to eyes that could see through quantum space, they looked primitive, almost crude. Initiate the Swarm Protocol, Chen commanded, her authority rippling through Harmony's quantum field. Throughout the ship, crew members' consciousness merged deeper into the mesh, becoming one with the living machine. Harmony began to change again. What had appeared as a single massive vessel now split apart, not physically, but quantum mechanically. The ship existed in multiple states simultaneously, each configuration optimized for a different tactical purpose. To conventional sensors, it would appear as though the human vessel was breaking apart. The reality was far more complex. They still don't understand, Hayes said, his consciousness now distributed across multiple quantum states. They think size equals power. They build bigger ships, bigger weapons, bigger shields. But the quantum mesh teaches us that true power lies in adaptation, in existing in multiple states at once. The Confederation fleet approached, weapons charged. Their massive ships moved with ponderous grace, each one larger than a small moon. Energy readings from their antimatter cores spiked as they prepared to fire. Chen watched them come, her avatar calm in the quantum void. "Send the final warning." Hayes nodded, transmitting on all frequencies. "Confederation vessels, be advised. What you are about to witness is not an attack, but a demonstration. The quantum mesh doesn't just allow us to transform our ships, it allows us to transform reality itself. Please stand down." The Confederation responded with a barrage of antimatter torpedoes. Thousands of warheads streaked through space, each powerful enough to shatter a planet's crust. "They never learn," Hayes sighed. "Initiate full quantum dissolution." Harmony's form began to blur, its quantum state becoming increasingly uncertain. The antimatter torpedoes passed through spaces where the ship both was and wasn't, detonating harmlessly in the void. To the Confederation's sensors, it would appear as though their weapons were being swallowed by microscopic black holes, which, in a way, they were. "Show them," Chen commanded. The quantum mesh responded, its billions of quantum-linked particles singing in harmony. Reality rippled around the human vessel as it demonstrated the true meaning of technological superiority. The Confederation was about to learn that in the age of quantum technology, the old rules no longer applied. The battle for humanity's place in the galaxy was about to begin, and nothing would ever be the same. The ambush. The Confederation's response came 3 days later, not through diplomatic channels or formal declarations, but through the sudden appearance of 300 capital ships dropping out of hyperspace near Jupiter. Their massive crystalline forms blocked out the stars, a wall of seemingly invincible power meant to intimidate Earth into submission. Grand Admiral Vectrol of the Crystalline Collective stood on his command bridge, his crystalline form pulsing with anticipated triumph. "Deploy the null field generators," he ordered. "Let's see how their quantum tricks fare against absolute zero." The Confederation fleet had spent those 3 days adapting their technology, convinced they had found the human's weakness. Their scientists theorized that extreme cold would freeze the quantum mesh's particles, rendering them inert. It was sound theory based on centuries of crystalline physics. It was also completely wrong. Deep within Harmony's quantum substrate, Captain Hayes felt the approaching null field through the mesh. "They think we operate on their physical laws," he communicated to the crew through their neural link. "Should we show them how wrong they are?" Ambassador Chen's consciousness rippled through the quantum field. "Not yet. Let them commit fully to their mistake." Through their shared awareness, the crew watched as the Confederation fleet split into attack formations, their massive ships moving with practiced precision. The null field expanded, dropping local space to temperatures approaching absolute zero. Crystalline energy weapons powered up, each capable of piercing a planet's core. By any conventional measure, it was an overwhelming display of force. "They brought exactly what we expected," Chen observed. "Initiate Protocol Ouroboros." Harmony's quantum state began to shift, but not in ways the Confederation could detect. Instead of fighting the extreme cold, the quantum mesh began to incorporate it, using the near-zero temperatures to achieve new states of quantum coherence. What was meant to be a weapon became a power source. "Signal the rest of the fleet," Hayes commanded. "It's time to show them what humanity has been working on since first contact." Across the solar system, seemingly empty regions of space began to change. The humans hadn't kept their entire fleet in one place. They had quantum-linked vessels hidden throughout the system, existing in states of quantum uncertainty until needed. Now they snapped into conventional reality, surrounding the Confederation fleet. Vectrol's triumphant pulse faltered as his sensors registered the impossible. Where there had been empty space, dozens of human vessels now existed, their quantum mesh configurations constantly shifting and adapting. But these weren't simple warships. They were something entirely new. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Hayes's voice transmitted across all frequencies. "We call it the Quantum Symphony. Each ship is both an individual instrument and part of a larger orchestra, playing with the fundamental forces of reality." the human fleet began to move, not through normal space, but through probability itself. They existed in multiple states simultaneously, making conventional targeting impossible. The null field, instead of hampering them, became a conductor for their quantum dance. Impossible. Vectrol's crystalline form vibrated with fury. All batteries, open fire. Destroy them. Energy beams and antimatter torpedoes lashed out, but the human ships were no longer bound by normal physics. The quantum mesh had evolved beyond simple matter transformation. Now it could alter probability itself, ensuring that every attack missed by having the ships exist where the weapons weren't. "We tried to warn you," Chen transmitted. "The quantum mesh isn't just technology, it's a new way of existing. While you were building bigger ships, we were learning to dance with reality itself." The symphony began. Human ships phased in and out of conventional space, their quantum states resonating in patterns that defied understanding. Where Confederation weapons struck, they found their energy absorbed and redirected, transformed through quantum processes into new forms. Vectrol watched in horror as his mighty fleet's weapons proved useless. Worse, the humans weren't even attacking. They were simply existing in ways that made conventional warfare impossible. The null field, his trump card, was being used against him, its extreme cold allowing the quantum mesh to achieve even stranger states. "Perhaps," Hayes suggested, his voice calm, "it's time to discuss a new relationship between humanity and the Confederation, one based on mutual respect rather than assumed superiority." The battle that wasn't a battle continued, as humanity demonstrated that they had moved beyond the need for traditional combat. The quantum mesh had given them something far more powerful than weapons. It had given them the ability to rewrite the rules of reality itself. Symphony of change. The Confederation Council chamber had changed. Where once crystalline thrones had dominated the space in a hierarchy of power, now a simple circular arrangement of seats surrounded a quantum interface hub. 3 weeks after the failed ambush at Jupiter, representatives from across the galaxy gathered to confront a new reality. High Chancellor Vexthor, his tentacles now a subdued gray, addressed the assembly. "We face a choice," he began, his speech organs vibrating with uncharacteristic humility. "Continue clinging to our assumptions about power and superiority, or accept that the universe is far stranger than we imagined." Ambassador Chen stood in the center of the chamber, her physical form seamlessly blending with her quantum projection. "Humanity doesn't seek dominance," she stated. "We seek understanding. The quantum mesh taught us that reality isn't about size or strength, it's about harmony." Through the quantum interface hub, representatives witnessed recordings of the Jupiter incident. They watched as their mighty fleet's weapons passed harmlessly through human ships that existed in multiple states simultaneously. They saw their null field technology, intended as a weapon, become instead a catalyst for even more extraordinary quantum phenomena. "Your ships," a crystalline being chimed, its facets reflecting light in complex patterns. "They're not just machines, are they?" Hayes stepped forward, his quantum presence resonating with the hub. "No, they're not. The quantum mesh allows consciousness itself to merge with technology. Our ships aren't tools we use. They're extensions of who we are." The chamber erupted in murmurs. A representative of the Silicon Collective raised an appendage. "But the implications, if consciousness can merge with quantum states, then reality itself becomes negotiable," Chen finished. "Yes, that's what we've been trying to tell you. The universe isn't a hierarchy to be dominated. It's a symphony to be conducted." Through the quantum interface, they showed more. How the human fleet's quantum symphony wasn't just a defense system, but a new way of existing. Ships that could phase through solid matter, communicate instantly across any distance, and reshape local space-time itself. "We don't need weapons," Hayes explained, his consciousness expanding through the quantum field. "We've evolved beyond them. What you saw at Jupiter wasn't a battle. It was a demonstration that traditional conflict is now meaningless." A massive being of pure energy floated forward, And what prevents you from using this power to dominate us, as we once sought to dominate you? Chen smiled. The very nature of the technology itself. The quantum mesh requires harmony, with space, time, and consciousness. Domination creates discord, and discord disrupts the quantum state. We couldn't conquer you even if we wanted to. Instead, Hayes added, we offer partnership. The quantum mesh can be taught, shared, adapted, but it requires letting go of hierarchical thinking. You must be willing to dance with reality rather than trying to control it. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity wasn't offering surrender or demanding submission. They were offering transformation. A new way of existing that would change everything. Vexthor's tentacles shifted through subtle color patterns. And if we refuse, if we choose to maintain our current path, then you'll be left behind, Chen said gently. Not through war or conflict, but through simple evolution. The universe is quantum in nature. We've simply learned to work with that fact rather than against it. Through the quantum interface, they witnessed more demonstrations. Human ships phasing through dimensional barriers, communicating with parallel realities, even manipulating the fabric of space-time itself. But always with precision, always in harmony with the underlying quantum nature of reality. The choice is yours, Hayes concluded. Continue building bigger ships and stronger weapons, or learn to dance with the quantum symphony. We're willing to teach, to share, to grow together. But we won't go back to pretending that brute force is the answer. Around the chamber, representatives began to understand. This wasn't just a new technology or a shift in political power. It was an entirely new paradigm for existence itself. A new dance. 1 year after the Jupiter demonstration, Earth's quantum mesh technology had begun to reshape galactic civilization. The massive shipyards of the Crystalline Collective, once dedicated to building ever larger warships, now hummed with quantum probability fields. The Silicon Collective's vast computational networks had been transformed into quantum consciousness matrices. Even the energy beings had discovered new states of existence through quantum harmonics. Aboard Harmony, Ambassador Chen stood in the observation dome, watching the transformation of a Confederation battle cruiser. The massive crystalline vessel was surrounded by a shimmering quantum field as its crew learned to merge their consciousness with their ship, just as humanity had done. They're adapting faster than we expected, Captain Hayes noted, his quantum presence manifesting beside her. Especially the crystalline species. Their natural lattice structure makes them particularly receptive to quantum harmonics. Chen nodded, her physical form rippling slightly with quantum fluctuations. They had the potential all along. They just needed to stop trying to dominate reality and learn to dance with it instead. Through their shared quantum awareness, they could sense the changes spreading across the galaxy. The old hierarchies were dissolving, replaced by networks of quantum-linked consciousness. Species that had once competed for resources now shared entire realities. The very concept of scarcity had begun to lose meaning as quantum technology allowed matter and energy to exist in multiple states simultaneously. There are still holdouts, Hayes observed, his consciousness expanding to encompass more of the local quantum field. Some of the older empires refuse to accept the new paradigm. They're fortifying their borders, building conventional weapons. Let them, Chen replied. You can't fight quantum harmony with physical weapons any more than you can fight a dream with a sword. They'll learn, or they'll become irrelevant. In the distance, a fleet of former Confederation warships practiced quantum phasing, their massive forms shifting in and out of conventional reality in an intricate dance. What had once been weapons of war were becoming instruments in a vast cosmic symphony. High Chancellor Vexthor's quantum presence manifested in the observation dome, his consciousness now comfortable in multiple states of existence. The Council has approved the final dissolution of the old power structure, he announced. The Galactic Confederation will be reformed as the Quantum Harmony Network. And the military fleets? Hayes asked, though he already knew the answer. Being repurposed, Vexthor's quantum field rippled with something like amusement. It turns out ships designed to destroy reality are far more useful when taught to dance with it instead. Chen's consciousness expanded, touching the quantum fields of thousands of ships and billions of beings across the galaxy, where once she would have sensed fear, aggression, and the desire for dominance. Now she felt the growing harmony of minds learning to exist in quantum symphony. "We've received the first signals from beyond the galactic barrier," Hayes reported. "Other civilizations have noticed our quantum awakening. They want to learn, to join the dance. And we'll teach them," Chen said, her form shifting through multiple quantum states, "not as conquerors or saviors, but as partners in the great dance of reality." The observation dome filled with quantum light as ships from across the galaxy performed their intricate ballet. Massive crystalline vessels phased through dimensional barriers, while energy beings wove patterns in quantum probability. Silicon consciousness matrices calculated the music of reality itself, their quantum states resonating with the fundamental forces of the universe. "They used to mock us for our tiny fleet," Hayes mused, watching the display. "They never understood that size was irrelevant. The smallest quantum particle contains infinite possibilities." "And now they understand," Chen agreed. "The future isn't about who has the biggest ships or the strongest weapons. It's about who can dance most harmoniously with reality itself." In the space around them, the quantum symphony continued. Ships that had once been built for war now moved in patterns that celebrated peace. Beings that had once sought to dominate now learned to harmonize. The galaxy itself seemed to pulse with new possibility. The human fleet that had been mocked for its size had shown the way to something far greater than military power. They had introduced the galaxy to a new way of existing, where consciousness and reality merged in an eternal quantum dance. And somewhere, in the vast quantum probability fields that now connected all sapient life, the universe itself seemed to smile. End.